And it's like, when is enough enough?
Yes, you just heard it. Governor Ron DeSantis said enough is enough. And what does that pertain to? Well, we're talking about the no property taxes in Florida proposal that the Florida government is proposing and trying to get on the ballot next November of 2026. And today we're going to break this down. We're going to talk about the property taxes, what that means, homestead exemptions, how it'll affect you. And I'm going to refer to two excerpts on the internet that I found on YouTube. One is Governor DeSantis was on with Stu Varney of Fox Business a couple days ago, and he breaks down what his plans are. And I'm also going to refer to Patrick Bet-David. He has a podcast. It's called Valuetainment, and he has his own unique perspective on property taxes, who should pay, who shouldn't pay, and how much. So make sure you stay tuned to the end. We have a lot of great information, and it affects everyone here, not just it affects residents of Florida, snowbirds, vacation rental people, tourists, everyone. And we're thinking we might be getting an influx of people if this property tax legislation or no property tax legislation passes, which should be very, very interesting for the Florida economy. So it doesn't pertain to if you're just here in the villages. This is everyone in Florida will benefit from this information. I'm Robyn Cavallaro. I'm a realtor here in the Villages, Florida. I primarily sell in the Villages, but I am a realtor licensed in the state of Florida, and I bring you valuable content about real estate on this channel. So if this is of interest to you, remember, hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help the channel grow. And if you're in the Villages, you want to make sure you get a copy of my book on Amazon. It's a resource guide, everything you need to know about buying here, living here, and the lifestyle. And also make sure if you're looking for a home, you go to robyncavallaro.com. My email address will be posted throughout the video. You can begin your home search on my website. And my phone number's here. I'm always available to answer questions, and please leave comments in the section below. I'm really interested to hear what you all have to think about this topic, and it'll spark maybe some future videos to answer questions, but I'm always a phone call away. So also, one last thing. If you're looking to open or start a short-term rental business, my online course will be up and running on Tuesday of this week. So you want to make sure you get in on that. You can give me a call and I'll give you some details, but it'll be available on my website on Tuesday. All right, so let's get to the material.
Well, it's a good question, but first let's just point out, people are being pinched across the economy in a lot of things. And property taxes, even though, and it's all local in Florida, we don't get any at the state level. We've tripled our rainy day funds up because we cut taxes, we have no income tax. We're doing fine at the state, but the local property taxes are hurting people. 2019 in Florida, the total amount of revenue for local government, $32 billion from property tax. You know what it is now? $56 billion. That's a massive increase. So people are paying more. So the issue is we're going to focus on Florida homesteaded residents. Now, that's a fraction of that revenue.
Okay, so he mentions in this clip that this no property tax is primarily going to focus right now on homesteaded properties. And what does that mean here in Florida? Well, we are a homestead state. If you are a full-time resident of Florida, you qualify for homestead exemption. Currently is $50,000 off of the tax basis of your home for property tax and $25,000 for school. I'm going to show you my tax bill for my home and what that means. So in Florida, when you purchase a home, and he's going to talk about this in a little bit, your property taxes are based on the selling price of your home. And there's a calculation, it's about 85% of the selling price, that's the appraised value. And I do have a tax calculator on my website. If you ever want to figure out the taxes, that's primarily for the villages. So you can go there and check that out if you're looking for a new home. But so they're going to focus on homestead for the people who live here, eliminating property taxes. I did find something on the internet where they talked about possibly increasing the homestead exemption up to $250,000. So that's on the table. So we would still pay some property tax, but it will be a lot less than what we're paying now. So when you look at this tax bill, you will see I purchased my home for $280,000, and I have a $50,000 tax base reduction for my property taxes, and then $25,000 for the school. And you'll see what the total of my ad valorem taxes are. So that's value added based on the price of your home. Just remember, if you are in the villages, if this bill were to pass and you're not responsible for property taxes, you will still be responsible for the bond, the CDD, and the fire assessment, and any other incidental taxes that your county levies or the city levies on you. You'll still be responsible for that. We're just talking about the property taxes. So this is for my home. Now I want to show you my rental home, because this will affect snowbirds, vacation homes, Airbnbs, rental properties. It is not in the plan for you to receive relief. So you can see right now as it stands, my homestead exemption, I save about $600 from my rental property. Here, you see the difference. In the property tax, there's no homestead exemption there. So, they're still going to take in some revenue, but where else would they may have to take money from to make this possible? What other expenses could we incur? And what is the plan for that? So let's go back to the governor and see what he has to say.
And honestly, you would still have way more revenue than you had in 2019. We're working through exactly how that's going to work. Of course, we're going to make sure we have fire, police, and all the core things. But the reality is these local governments have overspent, and people are paying more and more for that. And at some point, it's like, when is enough enough? Well, here's what I know.
You've got to get a lot of pushback from the local people.
Taxpayers were getting a lot of support. I mean, this is something that people have been asking about. But think about it. Can you have a situation where every 5 or 6 years you're increasing budgets 50, 60%? Now, part of it was we did have a boom with COVID. Everyone was rushing to Florida, caused property values to go up. But how is it that you buy a home for $350,000 and then 4 years later they tell you it's worth $1 million and you got to pay more in property tax? It's not right.
And you see here, this is a big debate here in Florida, because the home taxes, the property taxes, are based on the selling price. I tell all of my buyers, when you're looking at a listing, do not look at the property taxes that are in the listing, because we do not know how long that owner has owned the property. You could have two identical homes, and home number one, let's just say, their taxes are $3,500. They've been in the home 10 years. Home two, they moved in the home a year ago. Their property taxes have probably doubled, especially because we had so many homes sell at an increased level starting in COVID. And homes are still elevated. It is. They're come down and they're up. But so the counties have made out like a bandit, because homes were buying and selling, and the property values just kept going up. So in my mind, the counties are flush with money. I don't want to see the streets dirty. I don't want to see anything, because I know the more homes they build, the bigger the tax basis goes. Of course, there's infrastructure that comes with it that has to be paid for. And the governor has already talked about this in an earlier clip. They don't plan on trying to cut services. They want to keep services, and they do not want to increase income or sales tax, but they're looking at possibly adding or increasing the tourist tax, taxes on the hotels, taxes on rental properties, taxes on commercial building. No home exemption, obviously, for commercial real estate, but with an influx of people that might not be full-time or move, the more people move in, the more homes that have to be built. That increases, the economy goes up, more jobs, more money being spent, and that could offset some of this. It could be a real big boom if we have no property tax and no income tax, that we have a lot more people moving into here, and our economy could even flourish more. But you heard the governor say the state has money. It's the counties and the townships that we have to now get a grip on. So let's go in and finish up that interview.
How much, by how much can you cut property taxes?
Well, our goal,
10%?
Well, no. Our goal is to focus on Florida homesteaded residents and eliminate for them, which is, the majority of our revenue for property tax is non-Florida residents because people have second homes, you have people that buy it, and commercial property. So it ends up being about 30% of the revenue. Now, you may have to phase it in. There's going to be things we're going to do. We're sensitive to all that. I want something that can work, and I want something that can pass. And you need 60% of the voters to pass it.
But if you've got a home and it's homesteaded, you're going to eliminate the property tax on that home?
That's the goal, yeah.
You eliminate it
absolutely.
completely.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So you can see the governor really wants to help out the people who live here full time. But now we're going to go to another clip with Patrick Bet-David, and he breaks this down, and he even addresses where's the money going to come from, how much we're getting from the property taxes and where it's going, and how that could affect homeowners. Should homeowners in luxury homes that are paying $17,000, $18,000 in property taxes, maybe their home is worth $8, $9, $10 million. If it's homesteaded, should they receive that big of a credit? Or, as you'll see, he talks about limiting it to the value of a home and for possibly anyone over 65 that owns their property outright. So next we're going to hit PBD, Patrick Bet-David's Valuetainment podcast. And he's going to address this subject and what his opinions on now. This gentleman, he has a very big podcast, but he lives in South Florida. So they have high value homes along the water, and he addresses that in this section. So I think you're going to find this interesting. And what are your opinions? If we eliminate property taxes for Florida residents, where should we get the money from? Can we get the money from somewhere else? Will this put the state in financial trouble? Will it affect homeowners long term? Will it affect tourism? Will it affect people moving to the state? I'm interested to know what you think. All right, let's go take a look at this clip, and I'll have my comments when we're finished.
This will be the only state that's no income taxes as well as no property taxes. Let me continue. So now, on this side, if we go through it in regards to the concern, watch this. Possible benefits. Number one, so his idea. If they do this, who do you attract? You increase migration from other high states. Number two, encourage capital inflows and new development. People are saying, wait a minute, you're not going to be saying, come to Florida. You're not going to pay property taxes. Let's go build. Let's go to Florida and build. This is a good place to invest. Inflow of capital and development. Make Florida an attractive place for remote workers, retirees, and businesses relocating their staff, kind of like Ken Griffin is doing and some of the other guys are doing. We're going to get businesses that are going to put their folks to be in Florida. And that's exciting if they do that, right? That's kind of what we're thinking about it.
So you see, a lot of this makes sense, how it could benefit us. But the concerns are, if you eliminate property taxes, where do you get the money to keep everything running? What are our options? I'm interested to hear what you have to say. So now let's go back over to Patrick and see what his thoughts are.
What is the biggest concern with this if he decides to eliminate property taxes? One, raising taxes in other places. You know what? If you take the money, $61 billion from this place, you're gonna have to get that money from another place. How are you gonna fund all these different things that you have? And he said multiple times, DeSantis himself has said he does not want to raise taxes, raise sales taxes, which you'll see what sales taxes will look like if he has to do that, because sales taxes right now in Florida is 6% plus some local surtaxes. If they eliminate this, some are saying sales taxes may have to go all the way up to 11 to 12%. We'll be the highest in America. He says, nope, we're not going to be touching that. Okay, so a property tax, full disclosure. We were just on right now, I called my wife, what are we paying this year in property tax in a home we live? You know what our property tax is? $350,000.
Could you imagine $350,000 in taxes? That's unbelievable. But it's interesting because he shows a good point. He proves a good point. There are some very high value homes there, and they probably should have to pay some kind of property taxes. Now, how do you make that fair? The whole scenario, how do you make it fair for everybody? So next, he's going to get into the taxing on property limits and no taxes for those who are 65 and older. So let's go back to the video.
I don't think we shouldn't pay right now, because if they cut this, it benefits a guy like me. We need that $61 billion revenue for the state. Can you imagine? I'm telling you that I don't want to cut that. Why? This is how I would think about it if I'm looking at the state. Here's where I would go. Stay with me so this kind of makes sense to you. I would look at it from two places. Okay, possible solution. Of course, I understand the governor is talking about more homestead people not paying property taxes. Those are people that live here, not people that are not living here. We know the difference, 18 to $20 million. On the other side is 40 to $43 billion of tax revenue that's coming in. Let's take the homestead and make this possible to do so. What if the governor did the following? What if it became no taxes on homes under $1 million to help younger families? Let's just say husband and wife want to get married, they're 32 years old, they want to have 2 kids. They buy a $700,000 house. They don't pay any taxes. They're first-time buyers. Give them 10 years of not having to pay property taxes. I just became a homeowner. I just bought my first house. Give me a run rate. First 10 years, no property taxes, right? First loan, first 10 years, something like that. Or number two, the other option would be folks that are 65 plus retired collecting Social Security. If they live in a home $0 to $4 million, guess what? No property taxes. Why? Because his argument is actually a very logical argument. How is it that you live in a house? They claim you own it, but you have to pay me taxes. I thought you owned the house. Why are you paying me taxes on something you own? It's kind of like you bought a car. It's paid off. It's yours. $60,000 car. Do you pay taxes on that car every year? Then why are you paying taxes every year on that? There is a very, very good argument on paid off homes for people not to pay taxes. I fully understand the concept of paid off. If it's paid off, you bought the property cash, there's nothing else going on. Yes, we can have that argument of not paying taxes, but it's not paid off. Different story, you have to pay property taxes. In this instance, for people that are 65 and up, $0 to $4 million, you can change that base. I just don't think you need to go to $60 million homeowner person. Hey, we feel bad for you. You don't have to pay property. And there's plenty of them here in Manalapan and Palm Beach and certain areas of Miami and Naples. This place has a lot of beautiful homes, right? This prevents them from losing their home because property taxes are due and it increases roughly every year. So all of a sudden, this 72-year-old husband and wife, they've lived in this property for 32 years. Their kids and grandkids love this place. It's on the water, it's on the bay, whatever it is. We now can't pay the property tax. We are forced to sell, or we don't make the payment, and the next thing you know, I am forced to sell via a deed sale. I don't think that's cool. I don't want them to pay the price, and I want them to be able to be excited about moving to a great state like this. So these are my ideas. Again, I absolutely love the fact that he's proposing ideas like this. It's always good when you have a governor who's the head of your state that's proposing new ideas. You want that. You want new, fresh ideas to have a lot of debate. And then at the end of the day, through the debate, boom, we have a great idea that we can do something with. So I love it.
Patrick has to say, and I think that the legislature is going to work through all of these scenarios to figure out what's best for the state and for the residents. And I'm interested to hear what you think. Also, what you should know, if you don't already know this, if you are 100% disabled veteran, you do not pay property tax here in Florida. Again, you're still responsible for the bond and the CDD if you're in the villages, but you do not pay your ad valorem property taxes. And I think maybe they should address something for our veterans because they gave their time and part of their life, if not their entire career, to serve in our country, and we should pay them back. So what do you think about the property taxes, how it will affect you personally, how it'll affect the state. Do you think that we will, it'll hurt us, it'll hurt construction, it'll hurt tourism if those taxes are increased, and also if just homesteaded properties and it's not for, which I really don't think, my opinion, homesteaded properties should get a break. I don't think if you're not a resident here, or if you have rental homes here or commercial real estate, that you should be subject to no property tax. I think it should be an incentive and a give back to those who call Florida their permanent home. Again, make comments in the section below, call me, text me, email me. If there are any other pieces of information that you've seen on the internet that you have questions about, I'm happy to answer any of those questions. I'm Robyn Cavallaro, I'm a realtor here in Florida. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I'm going to wait for my next tax bill because I already paid this one this year and I had all my taxes paid. Nothing for free this year. So next year, we're hopeful. All right, everyone. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.